Hello everyone, and it is Wednesday. I always like to start out with what day of the week it is. When we're in the sheltering at home, it's hard to tell which day of the week it is. So today it's Wednesday already. My friend Brian would probably, if I looked at his Facebook page, my friend Brian, who sometimes watches this video, he'd probably have his usual camel on his Facebook page saying, guess what day it is? So thanks for joining in, Tori and Lois and Lisa. So I feel a little out of sorts right now, and it's in a good way. I'm just gonna make sure that I have this loading onto Facebook. So if you guys have comments, then I can see them here as I get started and switch the camera view over. And while this is loading and such, I just have to share, yesterday when I signed off, I said I'd have some big news for you and the big news has happened, and now I can share with you. It wasn't that it was a secret at all, but a few weeks ago, I was on the phone like I am, or typing with you guys often, and hi Tori, thank you, and Julie, hi, and Shelly, hello. So my shirt, I am dressed up a little bit more today than usual. I even put on a little bit more sparkly jewelry and earrings, and yeah, I had to find a shirt that kind of had a pop of color and such, because a few weeks ago, I got this call, and I was right in the middle of helping a customer place an order, and I kind of looked down at my phone like, who's calling, I'm looking at the phone, and the caller ID just says Salt Lake City, Utah. And I kind of always take this breath and go, oh boy, that's usually something pretty exciting if I get a call from Salt Lake City, because that's where Stampin' Up's headquarters are. And I have gotten a few calls from them recently when I achieved my career sales goal and such. And so it's kind of fun to get those phone calls. And so I didn't click over, and I listened to the message play out. And I didn't know if I wanted to die, throw up, puke, cry, or go, wow. So the message was asking me if I would be interested in presenting for Stampin' Up's On Stage online. Originally, this event was supposed to be held in numerous spots throughout the world, all different countries, Japan, Australia, UK, Germany, everywhere, as well as many different things. And right now there is a new person chiming in from Maine. Hello, Tracy. Thanks for joining in, Sherry. And thanks so much for being a big cheerleader too to me. So I feel like I'm gonna have some newer people on today, and that's great too. So what transpired is me going live today, fast forward 3 weeks about, and in the meantime worked on an outline for a business presentation, and kind of almost want to show you, you guys that have been in my house for my stamping events and such. I'm gonna try and get this turned around. So this is where you see me craft every day. This is my stamping studio while we're at shelter in place and such. And if you came to any of my stamp camps, you would know that this is where we stamp, right here at my dining room table often. And then my front entry is where I always greet you and go, hey, you know what? Welcome to Stamp Camp. And then my living room is where I have my table set up with a few projects, but this is how it honestly looks. I love being real with you guys. So here is my outline turned into my 15-minute speech, and the notes that I had to add and different highlighted things. And so I have my chairs up there so I could tape it. And meanwhile, I can't do puzzles even though we're in quarantine, but the puzzles made for a great place. That's where I posted or put my tripod, so my tripod would stand above my notes and everything. And my lovely hubby actually gave me flowers for my birthday. So as I stood there and used my props as note-taking worksheets and the new catalog and the flowers, he came through clutch by getting to have his flowers in the background too. So yes, so Tori, my husband did say, hey, I think that we should clean up those chairs for you for your presentation. And yeah, the boys were like, yeah, we cleaned up the chairs to clean up the house so it would look nice for your presentation. They were trying to be funny, but yeah, so that's how it was. Okay, so let me get back to me. Anyway, so there's about 50,000 demonstrators across the world with Stampin' Up! And so this presentation was going only towards those that were English speaking and on Facebook that had joined the group. So not quite 50,000 people will be watching. And so just like with you guys, I kind of start the video and I look up at the little eye that says how many people are joining, just mostly to make sure every day when I tune in with you guys that people are joining. So I'm thinking things must be going right, and we're connecting and such. And I see the number go right away to 30, to 60, to 367. And at that time I'm like, okay, I gotta go. I gotta start presenting. So that's kind of how my emotions went and such too. So overall, I thought it was really smooth. I felt like I had some good points that I really wanted to get across. My presentation was about building excitement for the new catalog. Something that comes very easily to me, because if you know me, I'm always excited about anything Stampin' Up! Has. So hopefully you'll be seeing these soon in the mailbox at your homes. And so I love hearing from you too. So don't be afraid to chime in when these arrive in your mailbox and say, hey, it finally arrived, or even let me know what your favorite products are too when you're looking through that too. So thanks for joining in, Laura and Julie. Yes. Well, I do feel really good too, Julie, that it's over. I think I'm gonna sleep really well tonight too. So yeah, so that's what I did today. That was kind of my big news. It was an honor to be chosen, and I don't know what was more stressful, like doing this from my home and knowing that once I turn my camera this way, I don't even have a countdown of when is it exactly 11 o'clock to hit the start button. And it wasn't a video that I could do and edit and submit. It was all live. And so some of that was good and bad, because it's just go and you just do it. Kind of like today, or all my daily Facebook lives when I'm creating projects for you. But I feel like you guys are so encouraging. I feel like I know you all, so I'm just like doing this card in front of you, so it makes it easier. But I will mention today that since I've done this live video, like I get all geared up for that and I'm excited and I did it, and then I didn't think through like, oh my goodness. So at the end, they encouraged me as a presenter to try and reply to comments that were left after the video. So I'm like, oh, that's nice. And a lot of them are hello from Maine, hello from Colorado. Hey, my son goes to college in Iowa too. And so things like that. So a lot of them I could hit like just to respond and such. And a lot of them had good questions. And then I looked at the total count and I went, 1,111 comments. So I think that's what I'll be responding to for the rest of the day. I have some new Facebook friend requests and messages to respond to, and I've gained some new friends on this Facebook page, business page too, which is exciting because as a demonstrator, I love to encourage other demonstrators to do the same thing. And my whole thing was when things have changed and I've always been face-to-face with you guys, what did I do different? And I switched to Facebook Live, which I'm doing right now, and it's so new to me. It's only been a few weeks that I've been doing this, and I wanted to share with them how I could be kind of helping inspire them to do the same. So with that, I want to show you the card that I'll be doing today. Super simple. I knew that I didn't have in my brain to kind of stretch myself at all. And I also kind of warned you guys yesterday that I would be, here I'll even put it this way too. I don't know if that makes any difference, but I did kind of warn you I've been doing lots of guy cards, and I'm still following along with, so far the month of May, going through the retiring product list. So I wanted to do something florally, I warned you. And so I decided to pick the Kindness and Compassion. Love the stamp set. So many of you, when you do the stamp camps with me, you always say, oh, I hope we're doing a sympathy card. Not that anybody wants to be doing a sympathy card, but everybody usually needs a sympathy card, and they're the best cards to have several on hand, because a lot of times they're the unexpected card that you want to have and to be able to put together right away. So the Kindness and Compassion stamp set is retiring. It's still $20. I looked on the retiring list quick before I came on live. It's still $20. It's a great value. And then Also, the paper that I'm using too, the Press Petals Designer Series paper, you get quite a few sheets, more than the regular amount for $14.50, and that's still the regular price too. So I just wanted to let you guys know that too. Hello, Donna. Hi, Kelly. Thank you so much for your kind words. Like I said, these cards that I've been doing all of last week and then this week are my 10 cards for my virtual May stamp camp. So this will be card number 8 out of 10. And so how you get my cards is you can either request them from me for $22 plus shipping and handling, and then another way to get them is place a $75 order, and then you get the cards for free. And so those cards, or the code to get the cards if you order, will be posted with this card. So when my video is done, I go to my computer, upload the card, put all the products used to make the card as well as that code. So that'll help you too with ordering, but you can always ask me questions, and I think I'll get things turned around, set up my iPad if you have more questions, and get started with the card. So let me get my tripod. I usually squeeze it pretty tight to make sure that it doesn't fall down when I'm talking to you. There we go. And now I want to have it on my workspace. There we go. Okay, so hopefully you can see it well. And I'm gonna get this set up here and my iPad. Hi Sharon, thanks for joining in today. So I have that there. Okay, so now with a better angle, it won't be backwards. This is the kindness and compassion. Something different about this stamp set compared to other sympathy type stamp sets is it uses the word our instead of like my sympathy. It's our condolences, and that's kind of different. And another thing is if you have the unfortunate event of having a death in your family, these would make for great sentiments in sending out thank yous or just express gratitude for those during that situation too. So kind of a different, uniquely different stamp set that Stampin' Up's had in the past. And I want to show you that you can find that on page 76 in the catalog. There. So my version's kind of the burgundy color today, but they did theirs in green. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. And here again, I want to just show you the card because when I showed it to you before, it was in reverse because of the camera angle. Hi, Julie. Okay, and since I have some other demonstrators joining in today, possibly because I kind of told them about my Facebook page and what I was doing different during my presentation today, I think more people will be joining in. So A, I wanted to do a simpler card, and B, I also wanted to kind of go from start to finish, which I haven't done for a while. I've done a lot of pre-cutting, I guess you could say. So what I was going to kind of put together, of course, I always like to tell you my ideas and such as far as, I'm going to put this a little closer, hopefully you can hear me better that way. I always play around with, here's the pretty paper, and so this is the Press Petals, like I said, that I'm using today, and I'm using this sheet here. Could have even used the back side as a layer with the front side, and so many pretty flowers, and I'm sure you remember maybe seeing some of these other patterns from the other events. So I flip it over to the back side and I read the colors used. So from that, I know I want to pull in some Very Vanilla, some Crumb Cake, some Mary Merlot, and such. And so then where my planning comes next is that I think, do I want to have my, I know I want this kind of on the top and show off all the pretty paper. So my thought process is, do I want this matted on that and then matted on this, which looks great, or do I want this matted like so and then on here for a deeper thing? So then thinking ahead, if this is my card base here, well, then when it's folded in half, this is going to be the inside of the card too, which isn't a bad thing. Then I'd probably put like an inset of Very Vanilla for people to write on. But then you've already got 1, 2, 3, your sentiment popped up, and then you're going to have that extra layer in the inside to write on. So thinking ahead, I thought if I layer this on here, and have this be my card base. This is a light enough inside to have people write on there and have it show up. You could still do like a very vanilla inset if you wanted to too. So, all right. So how I will get started is I'm going to pull out my paper trimmer here, and I'm just going to score right at the 4 1/4 there. So I'll do an up and down there. And then to cut it in half, I'm going to go to the 5 1/2 here. And I always score right down the middle so that then I have 2 card bases right from the get-go. And then I'm just going to take my card base here. Hi Marie, thanks so much for commenting. I'm glad you could join in today, and Robin too, and Barb, yay. Okay, so with my bone folder, I'm just going to score that next. And then with the Mary Merlot, I'm just going to take, and the card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I'm going to cut this just a 1/4 inch, excuse me, less. So that's going to be 4 by 5 1/4. And so I'll cut that down. And then I'm actually going to do a second one because I know I'm going to make more than one card. So I'm going to do a second cut of 5 1/4, and I'm going to use just this little strip, which some of us really have a tough time wondering how to use up those scraps. So today I'll have just one little tip on that. And then I'm going to take the pretty paper. Hi Barb, thanks for joining in. So that's going to be just a 1/4 inch less. So this pretty paper then will be cut at 5 inches by 3.75 here. Okay, so we just have all these little pieces here. And I think this one actually, I just grabbed a similar strip off of my table and such, and so that's 1 by 3.75, and I love the size of it, so I thought, okay, that works out well, so I didn't have to cut into a big piece of paper. And I'm sure often when you guys are creating, you have those accents that happen and it turns out really well. Okay, so for assembling, I'm just going to take the pretty paper and tape that down with my snail like so. And I'll put that on the Mary Merlot. And I am glad that it's layered like this. I think the Mary Merlot adds for a really nice pop on that. And then I'm going to take my snail again and just tack that down too. And sometimes do the flowers look like they should be going this way or that way? Sometimes with the busier patterns, it's almost hard to know. So I'm feeling like it should look like this, and I hope so. Okay, so the burlap trim, I did notice that is retiring too, and I have used burlap trim on a lot of my projects and such, and I'm going to kind of put the card up a little closer for you. If you can see, if I hold it really still, there's some burlap there within the designer series paper. From my angle here, it almost looks as if this paper is like 3D. That's kind of fun. So with that, I wanted to kind of tie in the burlap ribbon with that. So I'm just going to, let's see, kind of want it to look that way. Kind of eye it, put my finger there, take out my ribbon cutting scissors here. Just make sure I have the right amount. Yes, I do. And so then I'm going to get out my glue dots. These are super sticky. So this works perfectly. I just take and press one, then go about 1/4 of the way up, another one, and then one at the top. So that works really easily to just be able to put that right along the edge. So my goal isn't to have it look anything spectacular. I kind of like that there's even a little bit of a wavy weave in there. I just don't want any sticking out of the top or the bottom, so that when it gets put in an envelope, I don't want any of that sticking out. So then I haven't even done any stamping yet. I'm just going to do a little stamping to add to the card. So reading here says, sending comforting hugs and healing prayers. So sorry for your loss. So I'll just tap that out in the Mary Merlot ink. Oops, on some very vanilla. Trying to get it straight on my mat here that has the the line, so that way if that's straight, hopefully I'll get a good stamp that's straight too. And I don't like how that got blurry, so it's always good when I make a mistake, so you guys know Stampin' Up! Has that special paper that you can just tip over and use the back side. So I'll just stamp that out and put a little bit more pressure on the ends, and a much better image that time. So there's that. And then while that just dries for a second, it doesn't take long to dry, then I'm going to put our sincere condolences on the inside towards the top, like so. And so just my tip too, if for some reason you do stamp that out and it happens like on yours where you don't get a really nice image there, but you go, oh my goodness, I have my card all done up, what am I gonna do, because that's in the inside now, then you could take, say this is very vanilla, stamp it again on the very vanilla, just tape it over, and nobody knows that that accident is in the inside. Hi Wendy, thanks for joining. So remember this little strip that I had cut off from that earlier piece? What I'm going to do is just tape that along the bottom and then line up that little strip here, like so. So just kind of a little bit of a base. I just kind of wanted the sentiment anchored, and I'll take my dimensionals. Okay, so the reason I'm using dimensionals too is the burlap's a little bit thicker of a trim, and so if I just tape this down, it's gonna kind of be wobbly. So if I use the dimensionals, it'll just kind of even things out. It'll kind of add height over on the edge where it would kind of slope down, and then it adds a really good source of stickiness too. So I kind of want to make sure that that edge and that edge are even and line up. So that is it. Really simple card. So if you're just needing inspiration today and go, you know, I don't have that stamp set, I don't have that paper, I'm sure you could find in your crafting stash a different kind of paper, and then just kind of pull out a couple other colors based on whatever paper you're using there. Find a sentiment that's maybe that size and do the same type of thing. You could switch out ribbon and have a completely different looking card, but yet the ease of something simple that you made yourself too. So thank you, Marie. And Mary, thanks for joining in. Okay, so I'm gonna try and get back to me. So yeah, so it was fun to bring you guys a simple card today. Not that they've all been challenging, but a lot of them have had a lot of die cuts and different things, and some of you don't even own a Big Shot. And so I kind of wanted to step away from that today and give you a card that didn't use any embossing, any die cutting, and that, which sometimes is hard for me to kind of step away from that, because I'm always excited about the extra pop that our embossing folders add, and also just what the dies can do to make the project look so much more special. Yes, and Tori commented that the paper is beautiful, and it is. And so whenever I have paper that is that beautiful, I try and minimize as much as I can what else I am adding to it. So I've used a lot of that paper in different projects with just the smallest little sentiment or something else that just makes the paper be the showcase, and that's kind of fun to do too. So I hope you've been inspired today. And like I said, if you're interested in receiving my 10 cards made up for my May virtual stamp camp, let me know. I do know too that there's a little surprise news from Stampin' Up. I've mentioned that a couple of you are interested in being hostesses for the month of June. So I have two hostesses, Dawn and Linda, that are going to be hosting when the new catalog comes out. And actually, I'll be starting their host codes probably Dawn's next week, and then Linda's June 1st for sure. So I'll be advertising those host codes, and then I will be doing more virtual cards with them being the hostess. But for anybody else that's interested in hosting in June, Stampin' Up! Has just told us that there will be an additional Stampin' Rewards benefit for those hostesses in June, which is exciting because sometimes I think, oh, the new catalog's just fantastic. That's like special enough. And so to think that they're having extra host rewards already in June is pretty exciting too. So let me know if any of you want me to start a host code, or if I can set something up for you with that too. I'd love to do that, because the more people that host and the more of these that you get to see. I do take the summers off of my stamp camps, so I wasn't sure if I'd still do that with everything going on, but I do spend a lot of time in my craft room making up all the cards for these virtual stamp events too, because you used to be making them, now I'm making them. I'm getting a lot of audiobook time in, but my family would like to see me a little bit more too, and with living in Minnesota, those 3 days of summer can really fly by fast, and I don't want to be spending them all in my stamp room. So, but I would love to help you out with hosting a party too. Hope you're all doing well and staying healthy, and I'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon again. Thanks. Bye-bye.